2013 was 2 days after Christmas, a day after I took out my endowment, and the day before I was to be married. It was a big day. We had big plans. Me and my girlfriends were gonna go get our nails and toes done in preparation for the wedding, and a lot of the guys were getting together to play basketball. Both my families, my in-laws and my family grew up in the same ward, and both played basketball, so they were going to get together and play the Claytons versus the Lees. Before I was to head out for the day, my mom got an alarming phone call saying that my dad was unconscious. He had passed out and was unconscious after taking a break, and my brother-in-law was performing CPR, and my husband was running around the church looking for a defibrillator. It was very, very scary. The ambulance was on its way, and they rushed him off to the hospital, where they performed an emergency surgery, inserting multiple stents into his heart to help the blood flow. He was in critical condition, was in the ICU, was still unconscious, and we didn't know what would happen. Our wedding was the next day, and after a lot of thought and prayer, we decided to move forward with it. It was really hard to make that choice to not have my dad there at my wedding, but we felt that that was the right thing to do, and he remained in critical condition. Now, heart attacks are not, at least in this situation, not how they are portrayed in the movies and on TV. My initial reaction to his heart attack was that he still may be able to attend our wedding. Looking back, this is just a crazy thought, that I ever thought that he would be able to make it the next day. But that's how, to me, it had been portrayed in movies and television, that they have a heart attack, they're in the hospital for a short time, and that then they leave. This was not the case for my dad, as we did not know how things would turn out. We weren't sure if he would even live. The Heart Foundation helps us understand the severity of heart attacks and heart disease. Heart attacks and heart disease are the number one the number one cause of death in the U.S. They kill more people than all forms of cancer combined, and this put it into such a great perspective for me in realizing the severity. One heart attack occurs every 34 seconds, so almost 6 heart attacks have occurred in the time that I've been speaking. The Mayo Clinic helps us understand the factors that lead to heart attack and determine your risk for heart attack. Genetics is a big one, diet, exercise, your age, and your general health. Cholesterol and blood pressure are two widely known things that contribute to a likelihood of a heart attack. For my dad, it was definitely his genetics. His dad had 2 heart attacks and died at the age of 65. My dad is a pretty healthy guy, was a pretty healthy guy. He had a pretty healthy diet. He exercised a lot. He would take me to seminary in the morning and go exercise, and then we'd often go again that same night. So he's working out sometimes multiple times a day, 3 or 4 times a week. And he was only 54, so his health and the things that he could control were on track for a healthy heart, but he just had such bad genes when it comes to heart disease. Luckily, he had educated himself. He had gotten his cholesterol check and knew that he had high cholesterol and high blood pressure, and he did this routinely. So educating yourself is definitely something that should take priority in your life, even if this hasn't occurred within your family. Get your cholesterol check and determine how much you need to improve your life and your lifestyle, your health. If you do need to improve to any degree, and even if it doesn't appear that you don't, it's something you should consider anyway. Improving your diet and exercise are the biggest things that you can do and that are within your control to prevent heart attacks. For my dad, it seemed that improving his diet was the biggest contributing factor. And even if foods seem to be healthy, they can be high in cholesterol. The biggest contributing foods are meats, dairy, and fat and oils. So, chicken's healthy, but it still is something that can contribute highly to it if you already are high at risk. Exercise is also important. Any form of exercise is obviously great, but cardiovascular exercise is what strengthens your heart and is going to help. So he was in critical condition. We went along with my wedding, and at my reception, my mom got a call saying that his body was deteriorating, that his organs were starting to be affected greatly. His lungs collapsed, and so they had to put lots of tubes down his throat to help him breathe. He was on all kinds of machines. He had one that would rotate his body to help, continue blood flow, and one that cooled his body to protect his organs. He was hooked up to tons of stuff and just looked so scary. My husband and I continued on to our honeymoon as we were encouraged to do, and it was really hard. We spent a lot of time praying and on our knees, hoping that he would be all right and hoping that Heavenly Father would bless him with health and strength that he needed. After 5 days unconscious, he woke up, and he was so weak, and he still had a long road ahead of him, but it was a miracle, and the doctors said that it was a miracle and that they have no idea how he survived. Unfortunately, this isn't the case for a lot of people. In 2011, 787,000 deaths occurred due to heart disease and heart attack. So obviously we were extremely blessed. But as I can imagine that you don't want this for your family, that you want to be there for your kids, or that you want your kids to be there for you, that you want your husband to be there for you. So it's extremely important that you consider the health of your heart and that you take necessary steps to getting it checked so that you can avoid this great trauma in your life.